collaboration with the Cyprus Mail, this is the Cyprus News Digest with Rosie Haralambous.
Let me start this week by wishing you a very happy new year. Let's hope that it's rather better for us than the last. Now, coming up on this week's programme, we'll talk to the late Gerry Marsden. The news of his death broke earlier this week, but I spoke to him a few years ago prior to a concert he performed in Paphos.
Great competition on stage, great rivalry, but John Lennon was my best friend, so there was not much we could do about it really. Off stage, we were the best of friends, but on stage, deadly rivals.
And we talk at length to the person responsible at the Ministry of Health for the vaccination programme. It's being rolled out now with some alacrity.
We have planned for 38 vaccination centres to be able to work simultaneously, having 1, 2, 3 vaccination groups each of them.
One of the most famous acts to come out of Liverpool in the 1960s was Gerry Marsden, well known not just to fans of the Mersey beat, but also, of course, Liverpool football fans. One of Gerry and the Pacemakers' biggest hits was, of course, the Reds' anthem, You'll Never Walk Alone. So there was an outpouring of sadness and nostalgia this week when it was announced that Gerry had passed away from a heart infection, aged 78. Back in 2008, he played a concert in Paphos, and I spoke to him about his long career.
Hi Rosie, how are you?
I'm very well indeed. Now
nice
then,
to meet you.
I guess that back in those early days when you first broke into the top of the charts, you probably didn't think that you'd still be doing it when you could be retired.
Certainly didn't, in fact. We've just come back from the States. We've just done our American tour, and we got back last Saturday. And I would never have thought then that I'd be still touring America. Plus, we do Australia, Hong Kong, Singapore. There's no rest for the wicked, Rosie.
And you love it, don't you?
Yes, I do. And I get so much joy out of entertaining. That's what it's all about.
Was it easy to break the American market? A lot of people back then couldn't.
Well, I don't know. The first record that took off for us in the States was one I wrote called Don't Let the Sun Catch You Crying. And for some reason that caught on in America. And from then on, it was great. All the records we made sold and sold and sold, and it was fabulous, really.
You're still in Liverpool, your roots are there, and I think I'm right in saying that you love the place.
Yes, I do.
How different is it now, particularly in terms of the music scene? Because it has been the birthplace of so much brilliant music, hasn't it?
Yeah, there's lots of good bands still around in Liverpool, some young kids playing some great music. There's not really a great change in Liverpool itself. The Mersey's gone a bit cleaner. We're getting salmon in the Mersey now, which is quite a miracle. The town's looking brilliant. This year we're the City of Culture. We have a new Lord Mayor, Steve, who's fabulous. So Liverpool is great, and the new bands are great.
But if you look back to the early days, I mean, it was a melting pot, wasn't it, of talent? I mean, how did you all... You must have all known each other, because it was really the start of something, wasn't it?
Yeah, we'd all grown up together playing skiffle originally, which was kinds of country music. We all liked the guy called Lonnie Donegan, and we all formed little groups. And simply because Liverpool being a seaport, we had music from all over the world coming in. So you either played music or you boxed. I tried boxing, didn't like it, stayed with music. And all the bands knew each other from then on. So I met the Beatles when they were 14, and we grew up together.
And did you sort of encourage each other, or was there a bit of competition going on between you?
Great competition on stage, great rivalry. But John Lennon was my best friend, so there was not much we could do about it, really. Off stage, we were the best of friends, but on stage, deadly rivals.
And the arrival, of course, of big TV and Top of the Pops and all of that sort of stuff, that must have also helped the sort of the Liverpool sound, didn't it?
Well, I think anything did, really, because once the Beatles started, we followed them in. I mean, the more tellies we could get, and the more radios we could get, was the better for the other bands who were coming in after us, you know, and they appreciated it, and they said, you know, thank you for the great start. And, yeah, it helped everybody.
But you didn't, I suppose, when you were initially at school and you started playing the guitar or whatever, did you ever think that you were going to make your living at it, or was it just something you did when you chilled out in the afternoon and evening?
No, I wanted to do it. My father played the ukulele, and I used to watch him playing it, and friends would come in the house after they'd been for the drink in a pub, and he'd play and he'd sing, and I thought, that's what I want to do, entertain people. So from when I was a kid, even at school, I was in the school choir, in the church choir, I played in the Boy Scouts band. I always wanted to be in music, and it was like a tunnel vision. Every job I took was to get more money for a better guitar, a better amplifier, or something like that. But I always wanted to be an entertainer.
And when you did hit the big time and the money started rolling in, did it change your life?
Yeah, it made me richer.
I mean, did it change you and your sort of attitude? Or you?
No,
I guess not, because you're still in Liverpool, aren't you? A lot of other people have walked out on it.
Yeah, I'm still here. I still love what I do. And the only thing money did was give you a bit of security. And that was the main thing it did. I never wanted to go to London like other people did. I love Liverpool. I love Liverpool people. I love Liverpool football team. And I just love the smell of the Mersey.
But you did go to London for a while, didn't you?
Only to do a show called Charlie Girl, not to live there.
No.
I was off the show in the West End. So I went down with two lovely people, Dame Anne and Eagle, and a lovely guy called Derek Nimmo.
Oh, yes,
and
lovely,
that was
Derek.
great fun. I just wanted to see if I could do the West End. And then after 5 years, I thought, yes, done it. Got the T-shirt. Let's go and rock and roll again. So I reformed my new bands, and since then I've just toured the world.
Without much of a hiccup, really. I mean, it's not the same lineup now, though, is it?
No, we finished in 1967.
So what made you decide to sort of reform?
Pardon?
What made you decide to sort of reform and carry on? There must have been a great demand from fans, was there?
I wanted to play rock and roll again. I wanted to go back on the road. So I went back on the road to refresh people's memory of who I was and what songs we'd done. And over the years they remembered, and they remembered, and they remembered, and it all built up again, and it's fantastic.
It does. I must say, I mean, they were anthems, weren't they? One in particular, of course, You'll Never Walk Alone. How did you come to record that one? Because you didn't write that. That's from Carousel, isn't it?
Roger Hammerstein wrote it. I saw the movie of the musical, and I loved the song, and I came back to my band and said, I've got a great ballad to do. And I played it for them, and he said, oh, we don't like that. I said, but we'll do it. So we did it. And all the dances we played, all the kids had stopped dancing and listened. And I thought, that's great. And then when we made our first and second records, which went straight to #1, Brian Epstein and George Martin said, what are you going to do for your third? And I said, You'll Never Walk Alone. And he said, you've got to be kidding. It's too slow. I said, no, that's the one. They said, well, be it on your head. So I did it. When I got to #1, I rang them up and went, nah.
So, I mean, we have an idea that managers and people actually tell you what to do. From what you've said, you have always kept a pretty good hand yourself on your career, your music, your band.
I think so. Well, I know what I wanted. I still do what my manager says if I agree with it. But if I don't agree with it, I don't do it. It's my business, you know, and I appreciate that they try and help. But all I want them to do for me is to get me work where I want to work and when I want to work, and that's good for me.
Okay, we'll talk about the working in Cyprus very shortly, but if we just, before we finish with You'll Never Walk Alone, I mean, now, do you ever go down to the COP? The fact that this is the anthem for Liverpool Football Club is after you rather than before, isn't it? I mean, it wasn't their anthem before, was it?
No. Every time I go to there, I get in and I sing along with them. It's great. The hairs on the back of my neck still stands up.
Well, it does whenever you hear them all singing it, actually, because it is an absolutely beautiful song.
At this point, we took a break to play You'll Never Walk Alone, which you can do on live radio, but of course not without copyright infringement on YouTube. So let's pick up our chat after the song.
You must be really thrilled at the longevity of your music.
Yeah, it's good. That's the nice bonus. Because when you write songs, I wrote Furry Customers and that type of songs, you never think they're going to last. Yet we go to Hong Kong, as I say, in Singapore, and even over there they say, Gerry, you sing Furry Customers. And it's amazing that it's Australia, the States, Canada, that is a big bonus. It really is that you stayed around so long.
Are you still writing music?
Yes.
And is it the same sort of Mersey sound? It must have moved on.
Of course it has. I just write music because I like writing music. The the thing is with music, if you're not current, it's no good recording dead songs. So I just write music, and I put them on my files, and I keep them, and I listen to them.
All right, but when was the last time you brought out a CD?
Our last CD was about 3 years ago.
So we all ought to have that, you see. I think that you may be... have you been consigned, in a sense, to the history books by radio stations who are much more into a very much more modern, young sound?
Well, not really, because you'd be surprised how many plays we get on the radio. Because I get surprised. You know, when I get the PRS forms through and so on and things like that. How often the records are played, and it's great. It is good.
What makes a good song, Gerry?
Pardon?
What makes a good song?
I think simplicity, nice lyrics, and something that people can remember. That's the main thing. But the simpler the song, the bigger the hit. I mean, songs like Robbie Williams, Angels, and things like that, very, very simple. People remember them, great songs. But, I mean, Ferry Cross-the-Mersey was dead simple. Just a little story about why I went to the ferry to cross the Mersey to Liverpool people.
Okay, another one that you wrote, of course, Don't Let the Sun Catch You Crying.
Yes.
Now, then you wrote that because you were in a spot of bother with your girlfriend, weren't you?
Yes, she said we had a big argument. I said, right.
What had you done? Come on.
She said, clear off, fatty. Nothing, I'd done nothing. I had done, that's why I was so annoyed. I just happened to say I love another girl.
Oh, dear.
And I said, that's nothing, is it?
Dearie me. So she told you to clear off, and then you decided it was a big mistake.
Yes, certainly. So I wrote the song. And the lyrics explain the song to you. You know, the crying's not a bad thing, but stop your crying when the birds sing.
And it worked, didn't
It
it?
may be hard to discover that you've been left for another. But don't forget that love's a game, and it can always come again. So don't let it so catch you.
It worked, though, didn't it?
She was nuts enough to believe it.
Oh, but you married her, didn't you?
Of course I did.
And you've been married now for what?
Oh, Christ, a million years.
No, it's more like 40-something, isn't it?
Yes, it is, some other.
Something like that.
I don't wish to remember it.
You
So does she.
You fibber. How does she feel about you still chasing off all over the globe? Does she come with you?
She comes with me.
Good for her.
She'll be in Cyprus with me.
Oh, absolutely
She
brilliant.
just toured the States with me, and she tours Australia with me, and Hong Kong. She loves it.
That's brilliant, because I suppose when you were fairly newly married and there were young kids and things, you had to
that's
stay
right.
behind, didn't she?
Of course she did. To look after the dogs and the kids. And the cats.
And she did a good job of all of that, I
Yes,
imagine.
she did. Yeah, she killed the dogs and left the cats. The kids she looked after.
Gerry,
No, so that was great. Once the kids grew up and went their own ways, and one got married and one is learning to fly planes, and the dogs, God bless them, went to the dog heaven, she said, right, we're free at last. So that was it.
brilliant.
She told me.
You were given the MBE a couple of years ago for your charity work. What sort of charities do you take on, Gerry?
Oh, golly. Loads.
You must get hit by a lot of people sort
but
of...
I have Heart Foundation is the main one. Cancer research is another main one I do. I do hospices for children, holistic societies. I do loads, I spend a lot of my... the reason I do, I think that you should give back to people what they gave to you. And they bought my records and give me a good life, and if I can do anything to help them, that's what I do. And it was a great honour when I got a letter saying the Queen was going on it before. I thought, what for? All I'm doing is what other people do. But God bless her. I'm very, very proud of it.
And when you went to pick up your gong, any particular memories of that? Did she know your music?
She was dancing.
And waving. She didn't have a Liverpool scarf too,
The
did
thing,
she?
I tell you what, you do remember, is the palace and how beautiful it is, and how great all the people are. I mean, they were really lovely, lovely people. Nice people. My daughters loved it, my wife loved it, my friends all loved it. I wish I could have taken the dogs down. They would have loved it.
Oh, well, I'm sure that
It was a great day, we all loved it.
a lot of people here in Cyprus are going to love it when you come here and entertain them, because I know
can't wait.
that it's your first visit, isn't it? Or it will be.
Well, not really. I'd been to Cyprus before, but I just snuck in, had a little holiday there and came out.
Okay, but this time you're going to come and wow them at the Coral
Well,
Beach
looking
Hotel in
to-
Paphos.
My band and I cannot wait. The band are already packed.
It's not until Thursday, the 2nd of October, tell them. They can unpack for a week or two, I'm sure.
No, they're getting ready. Yeah, they don't care. They'll pack and leave it. And the gigs before they'll just do it.
And from here, you're going after this back to the UK for another gig over there?
When we come back from Cyprus, yes, we do. We do a tour for about 6 weeks, and then we get off, have Christmas and that off, and then we go over to Australia. Then we finish Australia, take a month off, because I have a home in Spain where I spend a lot of time. And we go to Spain for a month, and then we go straight out to the States again.
Wow.
So there's no rest for the wicked, Rosie.
Absolutely not.
I must have been really bad in my other life.
Oh, and you're loving every minute of it.
Better believe it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well,
Gerry,
I want to sit down here and enjoy me fish and chips.
Gerry,
Thank you, Rosie.
a pleasure talking to you. Thanks for sparing time for us, and enjoy
Pleasure's
the
mine.
gig in Cyprus and the trip over here.
Look forward to seeing you.
Me too. Bye.
All right, lovely.
Bye-bye.
God bless. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Gerry Marsden of Gerry and the Pacemakers, who died earlier this week from a heart infection, talking to me there in 2008 prior to a concert he performed in Paphos.
Keep up to date with events in Cyprus and around the world with the Cyprus News Digest.
The vaccination programme in Cyprus continued this week. Despite the holidays, they're moving forward with the second series of vaccines for some of the people who were given the first jab a few weeks ago. Olga Galaguta joins us. She is the Acting Director of Medical and Public Health Services at the Ministry of Health and in charge, I think, of rolling out these vaccines. So, Olga, first of all, can you tell us a little bit about the vaccines? Because there are two different ones at the moment, aren't there? What is the difference?
What actually happens is that Cyprus, along the rest of the European Union countries, secured the vaccines through a joint procurement procedure at the level of the European Union. We have expressed interest to buy doses from 6 different types of vaccines. Till now, only one of them has been approved centrally on the 21st of December, and that's the one of Pfizer. And this is the one that we have now and since the 26th of December. A second vaccine is under evaluation, and once that's approved, then we're going to have some weekly additional doses, this time from Moderna. There is a pending evaluation of 4 more vaccines, and once they are approved, we're going to have them rolling down to us as well.
When it comes to actually administering the vaccines, is there something different about these different vaccines? I know that the storage is very different for some of them, but what about the actual effects and the delay between first and second doses?
Yeah, no, what actually happens is that let's start from the Pfizer one, the one that we are using now. As you know, you have to store them in really low temperatures, and that's the reason for which we had to buy special type of refrigerators to keep them. What happens is that when we tend to use them, we have to bring them down to a temperature of between 2 to 8 degrees. That's the usual temperature of using the vaccine. And once you bring them to that temperature, from -75 to the temperature of between 2 to 8, then you have to use them within 5 days. Then once, let's say you get them to the vaccination center, each vial is a vial for 5 doses, so you have to reconstitute them using a normal saline, actually. And once you reconstitute them, you have to use it within 6 hours. So there is a special way, there's a need for a special way of transporting it till it comes to Cyprus, storing it, transporting it to the vaccination centers, and actually using them. In the case of Moderna, it's a 2 doses vaccine, so you use the space between the 2 doses is 3 weeks. In case of Moderna, you have to keep them at a higher temperature. We've got special features for that as well. It's around -10-15 degrees Celsius. And then again, you bring them to normal temperature up to between 2 to 8, and then you proceed to vaccinating. On that occasion, the second dose is in 4 weeks. In general, all 6 vaccines are 2 doses, apart from the Johnson & Johnson. That is still not clear whether it's going to be 1 or 2 doses. So we are expecting for those vaccines to be evaluated and then discuss about the way we are going to administer them or store them or whatever.
Now, you started rolling out, I think, the first ones at the end of December, and you prioritised certain groups like people in care homes and so on.
Yeah.
How is that going?
It's going fine. All right, we started our vaccination program on the 27th, a day after we received the first amount of vaccines. It's a day that vaccination started simultaneously to all EU countries, and that that has a special meaning. I mean, it's a real case of solidarity among countries of the European Union. Either you are a small country or a big country, either you are near Belgium or far away or whatever, all countries received the vaccines on an amount that is a rate actually of its population, and sometimes a small market, but we secured having the vaccines at the same time like big countries. So when we're vaccinating, we are using a prioritization list. The prioritization for the first group is people staying at old age home or frontline health professionals. Not only based on scientific criteria, but also based on the local epidemiological data. And old age people are a priority all over the world, as well as Cyprus, because they are most vulnerable group. And once you vaccinate them, then you you hope or you are sure that you are going to decrease or diminish admissions to the hospital, all right, and use of beds or ICUs or whatever. So it's actually assisting the vulnerable population, helping them because they have other diseases, they are elderly, but at the same time you are assisting the system as well, because most of the admissions are people that are older than 65, 70 years of age.
And of course most of the deaths as well. Can I ask you about...
Most of the deaths as well. There are, got the information about the old age homes from the Social Services Department of the Ministry of Work. There are 135 of them all over Cyprus. So we have mobile units consisting of health visitors, doctors, and we go locally, we vaccinate them, and then we move to a second one. So we, up till now, have finished more than 2/3 of them. We expect that by the end of the week we are going to finish all of them. We have some delays because for old age homes that they had cases, we tried to postpone the vaccination, but we expect that we're going to finish the first dose of vaccination in a week's time. At the same time, we have proceeded vaccinating frontline professionals, health professionals, colleagues who are dealing with COVID cases, as well as anybody who is working at intensive care units or accident emergency department or ambulance services. That part of vaccination is almost through. I think we still have to vaccinate some more people tomorrow, and we are almost through.
Right, now, people got very excited about the fact that the vaccine has finally been rolled out, but you've set up 38 centres, and I think you will be able to administer about, 350 doses per day. That's a long haul. How many people are in Cyprus? This is going to take months until the 70% of the population has been vaccinated.
Yeah. Unfortunately, the first or the second month, the flow of vaccines is low. In our plans, we have planned for 38 vaccination centres to be able to work simultaneously, having 1 to 3 vaccination groups in each of them. Obviously, we don't have so many vaccines in order to have and use all those centres, so we are starting with a less number of vaccination centres. For example, in Nicosia, we have vaccination centres only at Lancia and Nicosia General Hospital, in Limassol at Limassol, Old Limassol Hospital, Larnaca Hospital, at Papos at Papos Hospital, Famagusta Hospital. Tomorrow we're going to start enrolling people for Kiberunda and Famagusta hospitals, because for technical IT reasons we couldn't do it the first yesterday. And then police which is also pending and is starting as well. Now, the other thing that we are planning is having mobile units going up to the mountains, to remote or rural areas. Most of the people that there are really over 80 years of age, so we have to provide this vaccination to them locally. Now we have the experience of mobile units because we learned a lot through the vaccination of old age homes, so we can use that at those remote areas and help the people out.
Can I ask you about the portal that opened, I think, earlier this week, and within hours all the slots to book an appointment had been taken. So again, very frustrating that people who tried to get on there and were a little bit too late. How are you planning to see if you can expand this so that all those people who tried to get on can eventually book an appointment not too far down the line?
I mean, we had two options. I mean, we expect to have a flow of 6,825 vaccines per week till the end of January. That means, since it's 2 doses vaccine, that means every week we can vaccinate 3,400. We were a little bit skeptical whether we should open all vaccination slots till the end of January, and we prefer to open slots only for vaccines that we have secured. Once this starts working, maybe we'll ask people to make appointments till the end of January, but we'll come back to that later. People who are older than 80 years of age, there are about 33,000 of them. Let's say 2,000 of them were already vaccinated because they were staying in old age home. This is a guess, but let's say we still have 30,000. And every week till the end of January, we are expecting to have 3,400, something like that, of vaccines. So it's going to take long. And it's a thing that we have said from the first day that the strategy came out. That's what the minister said. Actually, if you look at the newspapers, they said that we're expecting to continue with this age group till mid or end February. I mean, it's something that we expected. Of course, things may change. If we get a first vaccine evaluated and licensed, then we're going to have a bigger flow of vaccines and be able to vaccinate people in shorter periods. The rolling of vaccination depends on the capacity. For this kind of capacity, we'll have it. I mean, we are still planning on how to do it when we're going to have a flows of tens or hundreds of vaccines. There, we are still planning on that, but that's going to happen in June. It depends on the interest of the people to be vaccinated, and it depends on the flow of vaccines. It seems that in Cyprus we don't have the problem of people not being interested to be vaccinated, and it's obvious. I mean, from the information from the data we have, it's obvious that they are really interested. I mean, I think today they are going to publicize the results of the first week, actually, of vaccinations, and then you'll see that people are really interested, and it's obvious that they are interested because within 5-6 hours, I mean, all appointments were booked yesterday, so people are interested.
Right, 2 final quick questions, if I may, Olga. Controversially, countries like the UK and I think even Germany now have started thinking about, or actually delaying the second dose in order to be able to give more people a first dose. What is the sort of medical side of that? Because presumably if you need a second dose, you don't have immunity until you've had it.
I think it's something controversial. Nothing is finalized. It seems that some countries are proceeding doing that. At the local level, this has not been decided yet. We have just completed the first week, first 10 days actually, and there is no decision of delaying the second dose. It's something that I'm sure that scientists will discuss as well, and then decide. But it's really controversial. Really controversial.
So for the moment, we're going to stick with the recommendations of the people who made the vaccines.
In general, we stick on what the vaccine characteristics, the SPC actually is providing. I mean, we have to stick on that. That's my feeling, but already there is a different decision from our scientists, then we'll have to follow it.
And finally, can you just tell me, how can you monitor whether or not the vaccines actually work? Is there a test you can do after the doses have been given to see whether or not there is the immunity?
Such a process is never actually used in vaccination programs. It has been used on specific occasions, but we were not planning to do it. I mean, it's all all vaccines that have been evaluated and licensed have the approval of doing that. We've got the clinical trials that are at least 6 months ahead of us. All right, they've got a lead time of at least 6 months. From them, we're going to know for how long immune is going to last. And if things change in some months or whatever, then we're going to reconsider it. But currently, we're not considering any possibility of checking for antibodies.
Olga Galagotas from the Ministry of Health, thank you very much indeed for putting us in the picture about the vaccination programme. And very good luck. It's going to be a busy few months for you.
Yes, for sure. Thanks a lot. Thank you.
Well, that about wraps up this edition of the Cyprus News Digest. Many thanks for your company. Hope you'll join me next week. Till we meet again, take care and God bless. Bye-bye now.